Just what's the line that Spec Ops is crossing, and why is it so sandy? Am I right, everybody? Sand?
Today's new challenger is brought to you by Gamefly.
Welcome to the show. I'm Anthony, and you know, I am not the biggest military shooter guy in the world, but Spec Ops: The Line came out this week, and it kind of got my attention with its promise of a genre-bending story and this crazy sand system, right? So our own Jackie Talbott's been playing it all week. Tell me about Spec Ops: The Line, because here's the thing. Every review I read is like, oh, I really like it, but I shouldn't like it. And it's good, but it's not really good.
It's so mixed. Everything feels very torn. Like, you play it and you're like, oh, this is super generic, but then you play a little bit more and you're like, but it's not. And there's so many like unique elements, and that keeps you coming back to it. But yeah, it's difficult. It's kind of like I've been reading the same reviews, and it's very much kind of both or one or the other.
Yeah, so what people seem to like here is that it's got a good story, it's a good character piece, which is interesting because when I played the demo, it seemed like you get the standard cast of characters. You get like your Nolan North leader, you get your snarky wisecracking dude, and then you get a black guy because they have to throw. They just like, there you go, and
it's got like
won't
the
give
three
him a personality.
Generic, yeah, exactly.
But
that's what it seems
they do.
like. They do-ish, but then, you know, once they kind of, you play a little bit more and you develop a little bit more of the backstories of the characters, you understand and you see that they're very well balanced. It's not like they're confined to their stereotypes, you know, which is different for, I think, video games in general, but let alone a shooter. It's, you know, like you see in other games like Gears of War, it's the characters are where they are.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
about it.
So, I mean, the characters are pretty decent, the story's okay.
Yeah, so far the only real thing you kind of know is that the main guy, Martin Walker, he used to like idolize the main guy of your enemy team, the 33rd. Yeah. Which is a weird kind of dynamic that they throw in there, and it's a little bit of a Andrew Ryan kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I got kind of a Bioshocky vibe from the environment. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's a post-apocalyptic sort of, you know, future after Dubai has been in ruins. So Dubai was this once beautiful place for, you know, people to go and have vacations, and it's like this big attraction, and then it gets completely fucked. So the 33rd went over with the CIA to kind of like control things, but they went all crazy and went against each other and started turning on each other. So now you, with the Delta Force, you, Martin Walker, and then your two dudes, you go over to try to save civilians and kind of get into some shit yourselves.
So the environment looks cool, and the whole deal. Tell me about sand. They're so into sand.
So much sand. So the thing is with this is like they're very adamant about the fact that it's an environment that you can kind of use for your advantage with the gameplay or kind of moving forward.
Is that true?
In regards to sand, yes. It's very like sand is the thing that they focus on. It is Dubai, so I understand whatever.
So they kind of hinted at that the sand was going to be like, oh, you can kind of like build it into structures and you can use it as a weapon.
So you kind of think of like this, you know, syndicate thing where you can kind of rebuild things or whatever. If I kind of thought there would be like a cool like weird timeline thing going on where you can like use sand in weird ways, but. It's very set up. It's very predetermined. You show
all like
up,
scripted events.
Yeah, so you show up and there's like a bus full of sand, and then there's dudes standing along the line of the bus. So the way you kill them is you shoot the bus and it releases sand on everyone.
So yeah, that was actually a sequence in the demo, and then as you go onward in the game, it's all just still kind of stuff like that.
It's still the same kind of things. You shoot windows and you release sand to kind of get through areas if you need to.
Just shooting windows, dumping sand. Press X to dump
sand, you know?
All right, that's a little...
I mean, the environment, I'm not talking down about the environment at all. Like, that's an element that they really pushed, and that it seems kind of strange that that's kind of all I've experienced so far. But the environment feels it's so engrossing. Like, you walk around and the lighting and just the fact that you can explore areas that aren't necessarily required in the game. You know, so it's cool to kind of feel completely encompassed in it.
Very cool. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about gameplay. But first, I wanted to thank Gamefly for sponsoring the show this week. You know, Gamefly is the largest online video game rental service. You get a choice of over 8,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. Plans start at just $15.95 a month, so Gamefly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time, keep them for as long as they like. Once you're done playing a game, send it back, and Gamefly will send you the next available game on your list. And now, Gamefly members can also play hundreds of PC games for free with unlimited PC play. If you're a new Challenger fan, you get a 15-day free trial when you go to gamefly.com/challenger, and it helps support the show. So that is gamefly.com/challenger. A lot of games coming out.
What a
Sometimes
deal.
you don't want to buy them. You know,
That
you
is
want to
a
try them
deal.
out. Gamefly. Gamefly, everybody.
Gamefly's awesome.
Am I right?
I love it.
So, let's talk a little bit more. So the sand system was supposed to be this big novel thing about the game.
Right.
And apparently,
the sand it's a detail of
Yeah.
this aspect that they were really pushing, which is the environments and how like engrossing they are and how it's supposed. They are. They absolutely are. It almost. I'm trying so hard not to compare it to anything else, but it's almost like Gears of War took some BioShock notes.
Okay.
Like it's very rapturous as far as how you feel when you're there and the way the lighting is and all just kind of the environment elements.
Just that sort of dramatic.
Yeah,
utopia
it's a lot
thing.
more dramatic than you would expect for a military shooter.
So they set the stage right. They put the characters together right. Gameplay looks like hide and shoot guys or get behind a turret and shoot guys.
That's all it is. It's just constant waves of bad guys, coming in and out of cutscenes, and the environment does feel really good, and there's lots of different little things you can explore that necessarily don't do anything. It's just like a cool room that you can go like get more, things from or whatever.
Sure.
But it's you shoot and you wait, and there's limited ammo in Dubai, so it's very much just kind of wait until you got a clear shot.
Yeah.
So
I heard that one of the things that people found most disturbing is like guys aren't always completely dead, and you got to go like pull ammo off of them as they're like shaking around.
Dude, yeah, you'll be walking through a pile of dead bodies, and you hear
you just killed
people.
100 dudes.
You just killed 100 dudes.
Like you do.
Like typical Dubai, vacation. But but you walk through and you hear like coughing and like hacking and like you know that there's somewhat dead people on the ground. You walk up to them, you have to execute them.
Just deadish people.
Just deadish.
Okay.
And then you finalize it.
So tell me about multiplayer.
Okay, so multiplayer is kind of at this point like it has to be there, right?
Yeah.
And BioShock caught onto that as well, and they were like, we kind of need to have the bare minimum multiplayer just to be considered a complete game. So I feel like that's not different here.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily feel like anything super exciting,
Standard
nothing I would go back
complement
to.
You're just like,
I just don't care.
Do it. It's people. It's
I love
whatever.
multiplayer, but I'm not gonna, if it's kind of half-assed, you can see it. And
So what's interesting is you are definitely sounding like your opinion is very mixed and almost moving towards negative. But would you say that you want to play more of the game?
Oh, absolutely. I'm probably 3/4 of the way in, and I definitely want to see where it ends up and how things kind of turn out.
So it's strictly story that's keeping you coming back at this point.
Yeah, which is different than what I normally experience with shooters.
Would
So
you
that's cool.
would you recommend people pick this one up, or would you?
I think so. I think it's definitely something that people who do appreciate shooters and kind of don't like a lot of the shooter things, I think both can kind of appreciate things about it.
If you're a huge fan of sand and building
If
things
you
out
like
of sand,
and if you like killing people with sand and shooting things to release sand, dude, all for you.
that I
It's
think was
so
the
good.
tagline to the game, actually.
Sand.
Jackie, thank you for coming in. Depending on how well rested we are, Jackie and the rest of the crew, we do somewhere between 3,000 and 47,000 videos a day over at youtube.com/rev3games. So go over there, be sure you're subscribed, and I will see you next week. Just, and then sand comes down and we're out.
And then done.
Yeah, just fills the frame and then we're gone.
Done. Sand.